is becoming one. And we're really looking forward to the conversation this evening. Talk to you a little bit about some of the things that we've experienced over our marriage.
Yes, thank you so much for giving us the opportunity. Rich and I have been, Reverend Rich, and I have been married 26 years, going on 27. We met in Center City, Philadelphia. We were both working on Market Street, just blocks from each other. And we were invited to a lunch that I think you
With
did
my
like once a
fraternity
month.
brother. Yeah, I did once a month with some of my fraternity brothers. She worked with one of my fraternity brothers at the time. So she happened to come along to lunch this particular day. And as most of you know, I travel a lot. So I went off to travel somewhere, and I talked to my fraternity brother. I was asking him about her. And he said, "Oh, by the way, she asked about you." So when I got back from traveling, um, we had a date.
We had a date.
We went.
We went to New Hope, which is a lovely drive going up Bucks County, up the coast, Delaware River, and we had lunch and ice cream and.
And then I dropped it back home, and I went home. But the funny thing about
He's
that,
a perfect gentleman, perfect gentleman.
the funny thing about that is, as we were leaving her place, I went to pick her up, and we're leaving to go to New Hope. I saw her hands, and she looked like she had a ring on her finger. So I pulled the car over, and I said, "Are you married?" Because I didn't want to be dating no married woman. She said, "No, I just happen to like to wear this ring on this finger." So I said, "Okay, I guess it was this finger," because I would have been able to see it because I was driving. And so we went on. But I thought that was I'll never forget that, because I always look, and I didn't happen to look until we were off and running. But I knew she wasn't married. But it was just an icebreaker kind of thing that we had together. As she said, we had a wonderful lunch. It was Sunday afternoon. I paid for lunch, and then she said, "Would you like some ice cream?" And she went and bought me some ice cream, and I remember exactly what she had on and everything, and it was a nice time.
It was a nice time, and our dating life was really fun. You're adventurous. I'm adventurous. We like to do athletic things. We like to go places, concerts,
Art museums, like she said, sporting events. Both were very athletic. So yeah, we had fun, and it was fun getting to know each other, and how we were alike and how we were different. I said, "You got to come to my church," and she was like,
"You got to come to my church."
And we went to each other's churches and what have you. So about a year and a half after we met, we got engaged. And then we started counseling with her pastor, Reverend Woodson in Trenton, with my pastor at the time, Bishop Evans, and we went through that whole process. And about 9 months or so later, well, I know we got married 2 years and 5 days after we met, and then we started this journey together. And as we talk about becoming one, I kind of liken it unto when you get saved. When you get saved, you're automatically saved, but sanctification is a process. You have to go through the process of being sanctified. And certainly we know in the Bible, in Genesis it says, "The man shall leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife, and they shall become one." Well, once you get married, you married. Just like once you saved, you saved, but you're not necessarily one just yet. Okay? And that takes some time to do. And you have to go through that process.
Right. Because we're two individuals with our own personalities, our own thoughts, our own processes, our own likes and dislikes, and being confident with who you are when you come into the relationship is critical. At the same time, it's a plus, but it can be something that you still have to work on, because you have to take back a little bit. You got to make space for your partner to come in.
I thought something you said to me last night when we were talking about this discussion. You said, it wasn't like Lisa needed me to be complete, or I needed her to be complete. We were already complete. We just weren't married, right? So as we came together, there were those parts of ourselves that we had to now open up to compromise, to collaboration, to understanding each other. because we had been so complete for so long, doing our own thing and living, right, and had been successful at it. So that in and of itself was a process, and that's something that all married couples need to go through, and anybody that's married can say that those things you have to work through, and it
Right,
takes
right,
time to work through those things.
right, right. And so sometimes some things that you think are different are still the same, if that makes sense.
It does. You want to
That
give an
we had to
example?
get no, okay. Like you may say six and I say half a dozen.
That's right. See,
So and with communicating and learning and growing with each other, those things that you're like, okay, I know what I know and he knows what he knows, but we both know the same thing if we just open up and allow the other person to in.
we certainly were, and I
Does that
certainly
make sense?
no, that makes perfect sense. Like you said, I may say six, you may say a half a dozen. We're saying the same thing, we just said it a different way, and that comes into play when you're in a relationship. You may be saying the same thing, but you may be saying it a different way. So you need to take the time to, as I've been told the whole time I've been married, which is important. You got to listen and listen to understand. Really listen to understand what your partner is saying. But if we think about when we think about the commonalities that we had between each other, we were both raised. We both were fortunate to have both of our parents, right?
Two parent
Two
household.
parent households. They had 4 kids. We had 4 kids.
So I was the baby.
She was the
I'm the
baby.
baby
She
and
the baby. I'm not the baby. I'm like the middle, but I'm the middle. I'm not the middle. I'm the second. But we were blessed to have that environment and had some examples of that. And those examples could have been good for us, and those examples might have been. You don't need to use that just because mom and
Right.
dad did that doesn't mean that's
Right,
what we're
right,
supposed to
right.
do, right? So we had to kind of find our own way in becoming one.
But we had structure.
But we had
We
structure.
both had structure, which was key, I think, to both of us.
Believe in family, and doesn't mean if you don't have a two-parent household that you don't believe in family. We're not saying that at all. We're just the way we grew up, we had some examples of that we were able to at least understand and lean on.
We had our foundation.
Right,
We had a
right, and
foundation.
it was something that has been very important even to the two of us as we've gone on in marriage over these 26, almost 27 years. But the leaving, as the Bible says, the man shall leave. That severance part of leaving some of that which you have been accustomed to is an important aspect of the becoming one. There are some things that you don't bring in. You don't bring in, and if you bring in, it's going to cause some disruption. So, and sometimes you don't know you're bringing things in
You
until
don't
they
know,
end.
right? You're just living to what you're used and doing what you're used to doing.
Doing what you're used to doing what you've been accustomed to do it. And when you have a couple folks that have been able to be self sufficient, take care of themselves, you have to take the time to really learn the person, which is why it was so important that we took those times. We were dating and was courting. We were doing things that helped us to learn about each other
And to develop experiences.
and to develop experiences. We're going to talk about transitions in part two, and that was a part of our growth also. But in addition to the cleaving of some of those things that you had in the past, some of those things that are necessary to be brought to the marriage, becoming one is also something that takes time. And you said to me last night when we were talking about this that it wasn't that we weren't already complete when we found each other.
Right, right.
Right. When the Lord brought us together.
Right, right.
We were already complete. But by coming together it made us more complete.
And it kind of, and inside of that too, it kind of made you question yourself a little bit too.
In what way?
Well, what you're doing may not necessarily be right for the both of us.
That's right. So just because I did it this way when
And
I
it
was by
worked for you.
myself and it worked for me, does that mean that's going to be the same thing
That works
that
for
works for us?
us. So yeah.
And we had to take the time to understand that and learn that, and make sure that we, in the process of doing that, knowing that as much as we were similar in our spirituality, in our beliefs, in our family values, that Lisa was her own person, Rich was his own person, and those people were still there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
they hadn't gone anywhere. They hadn't gone anywhere. So we also made time for ourselves, right? We were married, but we made time to do things that we didn't do together.
Right. Right.
Whether it's you with your friends, me with my friends, and that was very important to us also.
Like we were comfortable with you doing your thing and me doing my thing.
Yeah, we were comfortable, and my job stayed the same. I still traveled a lot, and it wasn't a barrier so much to me being away. At least it didn't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
That it was like, oh, where you go? You going again? Like, she always.
Well, when I met you, you were traveling. So it was, and it's I've had people come to me, oh, how can you deal with that? I don't know you any differently than that. So it was like that's the persona that you brought to the table.
That's right, and she was very independent. When I met her, she was different than most, all not most, all of the anybody I'd ever met. She was different, and when I say that, it was she wanted to make sure that I understood that she was a woman with values and principles, and it was like old school for us. I mean, I pursued her, and I did. It wasn't like she just said, "Okay, come on, let's whatever you want to do, let's do."
Mm-hmm.
No, I had to pursue her, and that was new for me. But it made me appreciate her that much more in being able to do that, right, and having to do that, as opposed to not having to do that. And
And I
it's
like you. Oh, we're
go
old
ahead.
school also.
Yeah, I was
You
old
were old
school. I
school.
was old school dude. I still am a bit old school.
Your shoes were shined, and you made sure everything was in point, and worked hard, and family was important to you. So all those things, and he was, active in church. So all those things was made you attractive.
She never
Woman.
she never said anything about me going to work, which I would hope nobody would say. She never said anything about me spending time at church and being at church on Wednesdays and during the week, because Bethany was on the move back then. When we met, this was some time ago, 93,
Yeah.
and things was hopping. Not that they still are hopping, but we were over there on Summerdale Avenue, and we'd have church on Sunday and first and third Sunday, all day on Sunday, 3 services, first and third Sunday, 4 services, because we had them in the evening. Certainly we had communion and we had praise and worship on the third Sunday, and then during the week, it was popping. So she never said, well, why are you always down at the church? Because I always made time. When we were together, I made the time for her, I think.
And my dad was like that too, because you know how you look for the person that you're going to be with that's similar to like your father. And my dad was like very active in the church, and so that's what I knew, and that was like a foundation that was reliable.
And that's what she said about me being active in the church, as well as just active, period. That's another thing that has been a great example of us becoming one. I'm a planner. I think about things 1, 2, 3, 4 years down the road. Lisa has always kept me in the moment. You need to be here now, Rich. Be here and spontaneous. And I think that's been something that has been very complimentary
Mm-hmm.
to our relationship.
Yin and a yang.
A yin and a yang. I I'm just a busy kind of guy. I like to be busy, and I thought about it when we first got married, and I've tried to be like the spontaneous one also. I mean, you remember when Mary and when Jesus was at the house with Mary and Martha was running around fixing stuff, and Mary was sitting right there at Jesus' feet. Well, that was Mary, and I was Martha running around trying to get stuff done. And I needed to learn that about to be still and to be still and know type of thing. So that's been a big compliment to our marriage as we became married, as we had family, as we've seen our family grow. We haven't talked much about family. I guess we should tell folks we have 2 children
2 children and an angel,
and
child.
an angel child that went up to see the Lord. But David is a grown young man, and Renee is a grown young woman. Both doing their thing. We're very proud of both of them, and it's just a
And yeah,
joy.
we agreed on raising how we approach raising children. The parenting was just very similar. Education.
Education key. We were aligned on that. Those things helped us become one. Making sure we had time for those things that our children did, and being present. You know, I remember my father was there. He worked a lot. He traveled, but whether it was vacations he would take us on, and we weren't rich by any means, but we went on vacations. He came to the football games or the basketball games or the band concerts, and her father was, and mother too. Mother's was there too, but he was
big on supporting,
our kids and being visible. I guess it would be a good word.
Yeah, visible and being. Both of us think were raised on being active and being participants in life and exploring and doing new things. And I think that we both agreed on that for raising the kids. Try something, do something new, learn something,
Step on out,
get outside of your comfort zone.
get outside of your comfort zone. I think that's key, and that was part of, I think, the becoming one also, that I had to sit back and look at really post-marriage, because we all know pre-marriage, you're getting to know each other, you're in this courtship, all the beautiful things about you are on full display, right? And then as you get married, we all have, nobody's perfect. No relationship is perfect. And you have to be able to sit back and look at those things and figure out how to work your way through them, so to speak. And some folks do and some folks don't. But, as the word says in Matthew 2:10-9, or Mark 10:6, that, what God has, brought together, let no man put asunder. We've had and continue to have a commitment to the union that was ordained under God, right? We live in this microwave society, right, where people just change and go and move on and do things. We've had that commitment through it all, and I think it's been very helpful to us. So I know we've only been talking for about 19 minutes or 20 minutes or so, and this is kind of the first installment in our discussion. We're going to come back with a part 2. So if you see us dressed the same for part 2, it's because we're going to do part 2 right now. But we hope that the one-on-one, becoming one discussion has gave you some insight to some of the things we've done. And trust that you'll stay with us for part 2 as we talk about transitions.
Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.